Welcome to the freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Oh, hey, folks. Dude here. Coming yet again, an iteration of Dude After Dark. This one, of course, being kind of a somber occasion. Over my head currently doesn't really project too particularly well. I really had to kind of like play with the light level and make things kind of have happen. But essentially, what you're looking at is you're looking at basically this. Basically, it's orange. And if you guys have seen orange, if you guys know orange, orange was, and I do mean past tense, was my little micro tiger, and we'd had him since 2010. Well, he'd had health ailments, really hadn't really seen a major decline, but he seemed to be holding his own. Lost some weight, picked it back up, and then started having like sneezing fits, and we thought it was just like hay fever or something along those lines. Probably, and most assuredly, it was maybe something along the lines of maybe like a brain tumor or like a nasal sinus tumor or something. And we kind of have the mindset when a cat gets to a certain age, we really truly don't want to keep taking them to the doctor's office and then getting poked on and shots and drug in the back room and all that kind of calamity. I know you're supposed to be taking care of them and whatnot, and they really don't understand. But you get an older cat and they really don't understand what's going on. I mean, you pretty much have just said, okay, here you go. I've had you in my house forever. Here, go deal with these strangers, and they're going to keep poking and prodding on you and, potentially, knocking you out under anesthesia and running lines into you and putting you in little cages and, IVs and all the rest of that stuff. And truthfully, charitably, I would not want to be in that situation, towards end of life where basically somebody's just like, okay, we got the amazing technology. We can keep dude ticking along here. We can keep him alive forever as basically a cadaver in stasis. I would not want something like that ever happen like that to me. And I've already had that conversation with a number of people. So, you know what, dude, if I ever get in that conversation, you just bring me along something that goes, whiz bang and put it in my hands and I'll take care of business. I will make sure that I go to meet my maker, and I'm not going to be just sitting around just suffering horribly. And it's just not the best way to go. Well, anyway, so that picture I just showed you was him in really good health. Literally, when we first moved into the house, somewhere on the order of maybe like 12, 13 years ago, almost not quite, maybe like 11 years ago, maybe 12 years, something along those lines. Okay. So 10 or 12, 11 years, something along those lines. Forget what the exact window was. I could pull the picture up and I could pull the date information and whatnot on it, but it's just not worth it. Okay. So that was showing him in good health. And I do have a couple of last pictures up on my Facebook page. And it was really kind of surreal. Like one of the pictures I posted up was obviously, him laying down on the side. He's already passed. Obviously he's kind of not looking his best. He's lost weight and whatnot, but it wasn't a horrifically bad picture. It wasn't like, he's sitting there like, pools of fluid pouring out of him or, horrific, just bad, horrific scenes, horror movie type stuff. I was just trying to pay honorific to, this was him at his passing, and the other thing too is also before he passed, I could see, he was not doing so good. It wasn't going to be very, very long. Picked him up, put him on a tote by my front window. So literally he was looking out the window at the sunlight as he was passing on. Now, to me, that just seems like a better way of passing. You're not just laying in a cold, dark surrounding, but you're literally looking out at the sunlight. You have the beckoning warmth of the sun. Basically, as you're walking away from that life into the next life, you're walking into the sunlight. Now, the crazy thing about it is I had him laying out on that tote, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave him out here so the other cats potentially can investigate, realize that he's gone, do their own little, okay, he's no longer here with us. Animals know. The animals know when another animal's passed. It's nothing like, it's this strange occurrence or anything, but they know. So I had him laying out, had to do an errand, came back, walking back up to my house, and he's still laying on the tote, but his eyes were open still, and he was looking out the window. Obviously he's no longer with us, but he was looking out the window. So literally, it was like me walking up to the house one last time with him looking at me as I'm approaching the house. It was like, it's just another gut kick. Now, I don't know if it makes it any easier to be with him this time of passing, but um, I think Mrs. Dude asked me specifically, it's like, were you with him when he passed? It's like, yes, I was absolutely with him, up until the time that he was no longer with us. I was there. So that's probably like one of the final, I guess, best charities that you can do with a pet is you don't just basically take them to some place and go, here you go, put him in the box and, give him that final send off. That to me is not charity. It's really denying the friendship that you had with those animals. And it's really doing something not honorific to their memory. You should be them from, for them from, time with the good and the bad and all the rest of that stuff. You should be them for all of those extremes. Patriot Fever, if you watch the video interview, I'm just basically just discussing Orange and his passing at this time. And Patriot Fever's in the room, so good stuff like that there. Um, I mean, it's still definitely a gut kick, and there's also that thing where you're like, oh, could I have done more? Should I have done this, that, and the other thing? And you can always second guess yourself a bazillion times when you get into situations. And should I have done more? Should I have done all these courageous things? But when an animal gets to a certain level of health, are you really just prolonging them for you, or are you prolonging them because there is some potential good outcome? And where Orange was at that point, he was 14, almost 15 years old. 15 seems to be the magic crossover number for, most cats. They either make it beyond and they're doing like, spectacularly, or there's just, they hit the wall and things just go really south. I could say that there was kind of a slow decline with him. And then in the last 6 weeks, pretty much everything just started going really, really wrong. So that's kind of where we are at this one. Excuse me one second here. I got Tiggy juice. So I'll be flying the picture here. Patriot Fever, you didn't see the close up, so let me show it to you real fast here. So you didn't see the close up. So let me pull that up real fast so you can see. So basically, that's the picture I have currently above my head right now. So that's the picture. Him in good health, crashed out on the floor. Enjoying the new house, and they did enjoy this house. I mean, there was plenty of space for them to have their own little areas. You can't really see it because literally it's around the corner by the front door of my house, but there's a cat tree, and the top level of it puts it about chest level or so. And literally, I could be doing anything. I'd walk up there, and Orange would be, playing miniature mountain lion on top of the cat tree. And he had a distinctive way of referring to, literally, he referred to me in a certain way. He didn't do it to anybody else, but he would like cluck, kind of a little chirp almost. But he did that really only with me. So it was kind of like, our like little recognition thing. And I, jokingly referred to him as Captain Cluck Cluck. And he kind of clucked more than meowed at that point. Um, he really wasn't a hugely vocal cat unless you stepped on him. Then it was like, then you're like, oh, oops, sorry, dude. But he wasn't like a hugely vocal cat. Um, Unbelievably friendly. I mean, we actually jokingly said he was like a Labrador with a cat face, and literally liked everybody. So my niece literally had the ultimate cat, kid cat, and he was always climbing all over. And you could basically count on the fact that if you were wearing dark clothing, you would have you know orange fuzz on you. And I know he was a yellow tabby, but I refer to him as orange because he was to me, he was closer to orange than yellow. But anyway, in this time of our loss, we still celebrate him and we miss him. He was a family member for a long time, and we miss him. Following along with this, I could like to leave a word. Whoever gave Little Patriot a full can of Mountain Dew Extreme. um, yeah, yeah, sound guy. That doesn't sound like anything good.
Fatality.
I don't know about fatality, but it definitely sounds like the kid is definitely going to be just riding the lightning per se and really going completely bonkers for a while. Patriot, something tells me it ain't a sleeping night. No, I think pretty much you're just going to be, yeah. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy one.
This is my boomstick.
Yeah, I think that you're going to be dealing with quite a bit of yeah, just a huge amount of kid running around and get it all in there, sound guy, because that kid is just running amok, tons of caffeine, and just
This is my boomstick.
big time. Uh-oh.
This is my boomstick.
Anyway, so what can we be saying about the Mountain Dew Extreme?
And thing sucks.
Okay, sound guy, I think we got it. I think we got the picture. The kid's gonna be running amok for a while, and sure. I think it was Nurse Patriot before she went to. Oh no! So basically, she just kind of lit the whole thing on fire, and wow. All right. Anyway, it was a little bit of you dealing now with the.
Fact check.
No, it wasn't fact check. No. You don't get chime. No, you do not get chime. No, that was just a no. Yeah, yeah, big time. That was no, that was not it. Nope. 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 No, you no, you no. 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 Mm-mm. No.
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no. 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 I refuse. No.
Don't play that. I hit the stop button. Don't play that one. And yes, it's another episode of Sound Guy trying to explain something with sound. Talking about a kid with too much caffeine in his system running around going completely bonkers as his parents are trying to sleep. No, I sound guy, stop. I think we got this handled, okay? Wow. Pretty sure the kid had the career in the 82nd all the way he's diving off the top of the couch, almost cat-like. Yikes. I guess the easiest thing to do is just kind of let him run amok and just he'll just he'll eventually run out of juice, but it's going to take a while before he runs out of gas. Sound guy. Okay, so anyway, this kid's going to be running amok and
But I pooped from there.
Okay, well, anyway, the kid is now completely full of. Stop! Stop! I was gonna say caffeine. I wasn't gonna say bull meow. Okay, anyway, stop, sound guy, stop. He is. When this thing gets up to 88 miles an hour, you're gonna see some serious. Anyway, that was actually good timing on his part. Um, let's see. Scrolling. Okay, I got plenty of news. Um, it has gotten extremely interesting with this whole thing about like her little rally swipe. The guy basically stands up and was like really enthusiastic. He's like, "Yeah, Jesus is king," and she's like, "I think you're at the wrong rally." Really? Really? Potentially, you don't know about Matthew 10:33. But whoever denies me before men, him I will also deny before my Father who is in heaven. Yipes! No, that's like big time bad juju. Don't pass off, big Jesus and the Kings. No, that's bad juju. So anyway, she basically made that little swipe, and immediately all the Christians were like, "What?" They were, oh no, they were beyond like, "Oh no, you didn't." Oh yeah, they were like, and of course they said, "You."
Uh-oh, retard alert. Retard alert, class.
Anyway, so it could be most assuredly said that there was probably some people that stood up and were like, "Hey,
You dick.
okay." I don't think there was any splats. No, there was no splats. Sound guy, stop. See, the thing is, he's going to play these sound effects and they pop up. So I see them popping up in the window. Sound guy. Sound guy.
What? Uh-oh, retard alert. Retard alert, class.
You dick.
Okay. Can we get back to what we were speaking on there, Mr. Sound Guy, dude, please? Anyway, this one I find completely very, very interesting. Coming at truthpress.com, supposedly BLM is running, Black Lives Matter is running out of cash. And the most mysterious thing about it is nobody knows where the money is gone. Tens of millions of dollars. Well, I think more than anything, George Soros is probably like, what? Because as much as an Asian provocateur and a total crap stirrer as he is, even he's got to be like, "Dude, what did you do with the cash?" And they're like, "Well, where's the money?" "Oh, we don't have the money." "Bring us the money." "We don't have the money." Yeah, so I'm sure George Soros is more than a little bit peeved right about now. Excuse me 1 second here. So it could be said that BLM. I don't know if I would say it was money laundering, but it was definitely mass misapplication of funds. So the Black Lives Global Network Foundation is running out of cash and nearing the quote end unless something changes dramatically, according to a new report. So the Free Press, an independent news organization, is founded by former New York Times journalist Barry Weiss on Tuesday, publishing a scathing deep dive into the scrappy startup that struck gold in 2020. Headline: BLM collected over $90 million in donations. Where did it go? What a scam, folks. So, quote, capitalizing on the lucrative opportunities afforded them as the high-profit progressives, the three celebrity founders moved on, leaving the operation to wither in the hands of deputies who sadly turned on each other. A remarkable spate of legal trouble, brushed with the law enforcement, and tangles in Internal Revenue Service had all but spelled the death knell of the enterprise you probably know best as Black Lives Matter, Free Press reporter Sean Patrick Cooper wrote. So the spectacular rise and fall of BLM has surprisingly little in common with the earlier civil rights campaigns, other than perhaps good intentions, he continues. So how BLM leaders exploited George Floyd's murder to raise millions that they then put in their own pockets most closely resembles the stories of famous grifters like Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos or Sam Bankman-Fried's foray into effective altruism. Cooper noted in 2020 the height of the activism related to the death of George Floyd. Corporations revved up their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and threw millions of dollars at BLM. But 4 years later, DEI programs are in retreat and the left cares more about Israel than police reform. And the BLM 4 years later, it looks a little bit more than like a hustle, Cooper wrote. He feels the latest proof is Sir Major Page, also known as Tyree Connors Page, the former leader of the Atlanta area BLM chapter, who was sentenced to 3.5 years in federal prison, which could have been pound you in the butt prison, for money laundering and wire fraud earlier this month. But Page isn't the only former BLM leader to face unflattering accusations. For years, local chapters fought national parent company BLM organizations for disputes over who actually represents the movement and thus is the rightful heir of the tens of millions of dollars in donations. You'll note I mentioned parent corporations. There are actually two of them, BLM Global Network Foundation and BLM Grassroots. The latter was formed in 2019 as an umbrella organization of the local chapters of the group and is co-directed by Malene Abdullah. Since then, media reports have accused Abdullah and other chapter leaders of using their own grassroots coffers to pay for vacations to Jamaica and her own personal expenses. However, she hasn't been charged with a crime, Cooper wrote. So she's denied the allegations, but at least $8.7 million in donations is unaccounted for. The answer to where the money went may come soon, he continued. California Attorney General Rob Bonta has demanded that Grassroots turn over delinquent tax filings and late fees before Sunday, October 27, 2 days ago. If it doesn't, the organization's tax status will be revoked. Okay, this is a grift. That's all this is. It's a grift on stupid liberals who go, well, DEI is so great, and we're going to basically enable and do all these justifiably great things, and we're going to basically fire out the process, and we're all good progressives, and we're going to make everybody happy, 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 happy. It's crap, folks. All it is a money laundering scheme with George Soros's. That's all it is. Oh no. Patriot Fever. I have a funny feeling your kid's gonna be walking around with a shirt over his head going, I'm the great Cornholio. Do you offend me? I need TP for my bunghole. Bunghole. Yeah, before you know it, that kid's gonna be, zigging and zagging like you don't want to know. Perhaps he might even reach light speed velocity. Yeah, he found another kid. Perhaps you might want to put that stuff out of kid reach, like on the top of the cabinets or on top of the fridge, and don't tell him where it is so he can't go, hey, Pop, I found this really nifty stuff to drink, and I'm, next thing you know, he's like he's spinning around like, the Tasmanian devil. Yeah, that's all you need is you're trying to sleep and the kid's going, caffeine. That's all you need, man. That is literally all you need. Scrolly. This one cracked me up. There's the classic picture where you see, Dirty Harry, he's drawing down on the guy. Did I fire 5 or did I fire 6? So it's one of those done with like, the filter where you basically make something kind of look almost like cartoonish, where it kind of like, gray lines everything and basically changes the color shift and makes it look like basically like a drawn cartoon. Well, I am such a geek. I had this in a heartbeat, but it said, quote, I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 7 shots or only 6? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I was like, oh, that's a Nagant. In all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But being this is a 7.62 millimeter Nagant, the most powerful handgun in the Soviet Union, you got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? I cannot do it justice, but you see him holding the Nagant there. Oh, man, that's just hilarious. I don't know if you guys saw this picture or not. This one is kind of one of those interesting ones where I think they thought it was going to fly. And I really think that they really, really thought it was going to fly. and nobody was going to call them on it. It was just going to be easy, 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 no question at all. And it was going to be dead simple to simply posit this notion, and nobody was going to call them on it. However, slight problem. I've always told you guys, like, there is no delete button on the internet and all this other good, happy horse mess. But literally, there is no delete button on the internet. So you got to be really, really, really careful when you do stuff because potentially you can search for things. I mean, one of my absolute favorite websites is a website called Tin Eye, and it literally is Tin Eye. So what you got going on there is literally it takes a picture and you drop the picture in there or you give it the link of the picture and it figures out where on the internet it is and who was the source and all the other locations you could find that picture on the internet. And I cannot do this one justice, folks, but they took a picture of a white chick and then they took a picture of Kamala in the appropriate timeline and they stuck her head on a white chick to make it look like Kamala had worked in McDonald's at the appropriate timeline. Of course, the white girl being here, Kamala being here, and it's kind of blanking obvious that that's the same torso, neck, arms, background, with only some minor retouching. Like, you see on the one side of the girl here, like they lost that. And then on the Kamala picture, they made it look like it's just wood grain. But if you blow this picture up, you can see all around the jawline and all around the top of the hat where things are not exactly the same thing. And it looks blisteringly like Photoshop. I mean, it is absolutely one of those emblematically easy things to identify. And I do, some graphic art stuff myself. I mean, I'm not like rocking like, the high dollar stuff and I'm like, really, really advanced. But I know what things are supposed to look like. And when I see something like that, all I had to do is take the picture, put it in another window, blow it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's the retouched area. Here's the other retouched area. Obviously, they cropped the image from somewhere else, plugged it in there, tweaked it just enough so the angles are right, got the height right, the perspective was correct, and then color tweaked it so it actually fell in line with like the other skin tones. So what happened there is essentially what they did was they played games with this thing and they made it in such a way that it looks enough. And I do mean enough. Now, if you do actually do like any kind of graphic stuff, the first thing you would do is you would take a look at that image and you would blow it up and you would say, okay, what's going on here? Does this image match the other image? And immediately it jumped out at me. The background being played with on the right side of her face. Obviously, the line for the hat was like a different gradient aspect. It's like almost like somebody took like a magic marker and went, as opposed to taking a pencil and drawing a line. It changes the way that all those pixels go from solid to the shift down to the next color. All those gradients look different. So I knew for a fact that was an image they plugged on there, basically cleaned it up just enough. And even the lines for the hat aren't right. So you knew something was up. You saw the jawline, the shadows, where basically you have somebody like over, and obviously you see it on me, like, there's a high line here and then there's a darker tone underneath because it's in shadow. Even though I'm running, basically, LED lighting and, it's compact fluorescent on that, but LED lighting, it does actually cast shadows because it's light. Light changes from when you have a shadow aspect to when you have it like basically out in the open. It's going to be different lighting. So that immediately jumped out to me and was like, oh, this is faker than hell. So they're now spreading this image of Kamala's face superimposed on a Canadian McDonald's employee. And that's the other thing too. They actually retouched the McDonald's because anybody who's ever been to Canada knows, and this is emblematic only in Canada. If you look at the golden arches in a McDonald's, it's not just the golden arches, it's the golden arches, and then the crotch of the M is a maple leaf. So when you look at the picture of her, the white chick, you can see there's a little red splotch underneath that on the Kamala one has been removed. So they retouched the Canadian McDonald's emblem to not look Canadian. I've been to Canada twice. I know what a McDonald's looks like in Canada, and that was a Canadian McDonald's emblem if I've ever seen one. And I've seen one a couple times now. So, anyway, that's something else that I thought was absolutely hilarious that these guys try to put out there. As soon as you go, oh, it's Canadian chick, and then you look at the picture, you're like, yeah, there's a maple leaf there. And then it's like, you look at the Kamala version, it's like, yeah, there's no maple leaf there. Nice try. Oh, man. All right. So, anyway, also coming in American Journal Daily, I'm going to keep this one short. Kamala's fascist Hitler comparisons fall flat as undecided voters are rolling their eyes and calling a former president a Jew-hating Austrian housepainter is not gaining new merit or political advantage, Kamala Harris. As a matter of fact, it's gotten really blatant in some of the stuff that I have absolutely seen happening that they're talking about now. Yeah, I mean, other stuff too. The Washington Post will not endorse a White House race for the first time since the 1980s. They're like, you know what? We're not going to say something pro Kamala. We're not going to say something pro Trump. We're not going to say anything at all. Well, 4 people, and I've heard this a couple times on the radio now. 4 people have resigned from the Washington Post on their editorial board, going, you can't do that. And Jeff Bezos is like, you know what? We're going to stay neutral in this. We're just not going to give an opinion. To which I've heard other radio guys going, yeah, well, you didn't really need to actually endorse her because the whole rest of the year you've been saying how much she's so amazing and how much Trump sucks. It's blisteringly, blindingly, blithely accurate to say that you endorse her without saying you endorse her. Okay? We got that part. Not an issue to even ascribe you as the guy's just going brown nosing so hard that you have dookie stains all around your face. Okay? Not even hard to fathom. Scrolly. Like I was saying, you know, it's going into another story, usatoday.com. These guys are losing it. And I do mean like, you know, the mainstream, progressive, leftard, oh, we're not like that. We're news guys, media. Oh, no. You guys are really, really losing it. How hardcore is it going? Well, I can tell you for a fact, the same, and I do mean word for word, punctuations, template, layout, everything is exactly the same on MSN.com. It's exactly the same on USAtoday.com. Numerous other leftard mainstream news sources absolutely deleted, not in the slightest, absolutely the same exact layout. So, what are these assholes going on about in the lamestream media? Well, they're comparing the New York City Trump rally at the Madison Square Garden to the Nazi sympathizer gathering in February 1939. So, quote, in February 1939, comma, the arena was host to a rally held by German-American Bund, comma, a Nazi-supporting American-based group that gained popularity during World War II, period. The arena was at capacity for that event, period. End of quote. That is an exact quote from MSN.com, and it's also an exact quote that I can source exactly from USAtoday.com and numerous other leftard news sources. They are cut and pasting the same crap like they always do and completely deny, oh no, we're not in lockstep. We don't do these things all the same. We're completely justifiably not even the same group of people. We are free thinkers who, well, we just seem to have a very common way of voting. Sure you do. So anyway, these lying butt bungs are trying to say that, oh, this is just something that's just, well, organic. No, it's not organic. And I love those ones that, you know, Rush Limbaugh used to do, where he would simply just play 30 clips in a row of them going, well, that's not the other thing. And then you go to somebody else. Well, Bob, what do you say? Well, this, that, and the other thing. And then to go to somebody else. Well, this, that, and the other thing. And it literally would be the same exact quote, verbatim, or if only one or two words switched around for 30 news agencies saying the exact same thing with their talking points, whatever you wish to call it, absolutely the same stuff. So they haven't changed them in midstream. And the biggest thing that's going on right now that the news media is completely losing their cookies over is the fact that this is not the 1980s anymore, where they were the only sole source of news. And people can go, hey, you know what? I don't believe you anymore. You're basically spouting some drivel that it really doesn't sound truthful. It sounds very politically oriented. You know what? I'm going to get my news off the internet and from podcasts. Now, I do actually have Spotify, and I've been listening to a couple of the Joe Rogan podcasts, most especially the one that he did with Donald Trump. Really entertaining. Very, very well. It's okay. It's better than watching the news. Okay. Well, today in the news, a little kid ran out in the street and blah blah blah, and then dogs and cats and this that, and the other thing. Uh, yeah, when these guys just basically chapter and verse this crap, and it gets old. Okay, there's no reason in the world why you need to basically just subject yourself to this crap day in and day out. It's the same party line, the same, oh, the world sucks and everything's going wrong with it. We're all basically, hell in a handbasket. Good time, rock and rollers, bananas. All these, they use the Rush Limbaugh thing, but no, these guys are basically getting a template. They're marching and walking talking points from the main guys. That's all they do. They're parroting this crap from somebody else. They have no individuality in any aspect, way, shape, or form. They are not the guys. They're just not, okay? They're not. This one being very, very interesting. I'm going to say this one is Etu Nancy. Yeah, well, she's the one who plunged the dagger into his back politically. That's right. Coming in from AmericanJournalDaily.com. She's the one who did it and told him to bail or else. So Biden had defiantly tried to remain in the race as long as he could. However, the pressure from the Democrat establishment to drop out became too great, and he ultimately felt he had no choice but to comply. He's the president. He really should have basically told her to get stuffed. So anyway, it's been revealed that Representative Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California, was the, quote, key figure, end quote, in Biden's ouster. New York Times contributing opinion writer Jonathan Alter has explored this in his new book, American Reckoning, Inside Trump's Trial and My Own, which comes out on Tuesday. Vanity Fair published an excerpt from this book under the title How Pelosi, quote, ripped off the Band-Aid for Democrats, end quote, to convince Biden to step out of the race. The excerpt reveals one thing about Biden's ouster that has left Pelosi furious to this day. He's not talking to her. Oh, man. This butt puke really needs to be stuffed under the jail. So this guy, Otis with two T's, Otis McCoy. United States Postal Service worker has been arrested and charged with discarding more than 1,000 pieces of mail, including ballots and political campaign mailers. Dude, that's not your job to edit or throw away stuff. That is not your job. So federal authorities on Friday announced that Otis McCoy, a USPS employee in Orlando, Florida, has been charged with discarding more than 1,000 pieces of mail instead of delivering them along his route on Tuesday. If he's charged with stealing, he was charged with stealing, taking, or abstracting, I've never heard of that one, abstracting mail, a criminal offense punishable by a fine of up to $250,000 and a minimum of 5 years in prison. That's not the only charge, folks. According to the criminal complaint filed with the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida on Friday, U.S. Postal Inspection Service Inspector Charles Johnston observed the surveillance footage of McCoy, quote, throwing large quantities of U.S. mail into a wooded lot, end quote. An additional postal worker became suspicious of McCoy when he helped him load up the van with large quantity of mail, only for him to return much earlier than expected. Wow, dude, you really went through that, delivery really fast. Yeah, I'm just good. Okay, yeah. No, you're not. Upon examination of the tracking device installed in the van, it was confirmed that McCoy had indeed deviated from his route. The discarded mail was later discovered in a wooded area of Orlando, located not far from McCoy's route. Footage of McCoy's dumping the mail was also captured by a nearby doorbell camera, prosecutors said. Damn that Ring camera. Quote, inspectors collected the U.S. mail and discovered more than 1,000 pieces of U.S. mail, including more than 400 pieces of political mail and one election ballot. I bet it was more. Johnson wrote in the affidavit, which is complete with photos of discarded mail. The affidavit included photos of at least one absentee ballot, which the investigators recovered more than 400 pieces of political mail. I bet there's more going on there. Federal officials still coming through the discarded mail and could be filing additional charges against McCoy in the near future. It is unclear whether USPS employees have obtained a legal counsel of this report. Okay. Whether he's obtained legal counsel. The latest indictment comes just weeks after a Tennessee postal worker was accused of dumping large quantities of mail into a dumpster rather than delivering them. The worker, Duwan Butler, was hit with federal charges of unlawfully detaining and delaying mail. Butler allegedly unloaded evidence of the crime on his own TikTok account. Oh, God. These people, yipes. So anyway, like I said, the whole thing about that, that quote, the supposedly 1939 February gathering, blah, 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 the Nazi, blah, 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 blah. Well, anyway, there's now news coming out. AmericanJournalDaily.com. Trump makes history at the Madison Square Garden, wows a crowd estimated at 95,000 people, plus overage outside. That's huge, folks. New York City is not red at all. It is not even purple, okay? It's very stridently Democratic, very, very stridently blue. No, it really is not like, oh, these Republicans are so great. No, that's not how it works there. Trust me, okay? Just give me 1 second. But I mean, I do find it interesting. Like, you have Reagan, you have Charlton Heston, and you have Donald Trump. Three not too terribly, unwealthy guys and not too terribly, standout human being type guys. All of them started out as Democrats. All of them left the party. Why? Not because they wanted to leave. They're like, yeah, I didn't want to leave the party. My party left me. Okay. So that's what happened with that situation right there. Trump was actually a Democrat. Not anymore, but he was. Charlton Heston. Well, he was. Not anymore. Well, of course, he's now passed, but I get that. But yeah, he didn't start out as a Republican. And the other thing too is, they go, he's this, that, and the other thing. It's like, when was the last time you marched with Martin Luther King? Charlton Heston did. Okay. He was kind of like the guy going, yeah, we basically need to, get some equality going on here. He was not the guy going, well, these guys and on the other side of the tracks, No, he wasn't one of those guys. Okay. Let's be completely honest and, truthful here. I find it very, very interesting. This chick of all chicks is talking smack, bringing shade, blowing smoke, call it what you will. Breitbart.com. Whoopi Goldberg claims Trump will dismantle interracial marriages and redistribute white spouses. What are you even talking about, you silly woman? Your nasty butt couldn't even hang on to a nobody like Ted Danson, okay? Not impressed with you. Not. And she's just getting stupider and stupider as time goes along, man. There's no other way to describe it. I mean, she's just getting dumber. That's it. She's getting dumber. All right. Scrolly. MSNBC is now facing a backlash from Jewish Trump supporters after the Nazi rally comparison. Well, maybe it might be kind of offensive there. Oh, yeah. Well, Jews don't like the Nazi term. Use it as a attack phrase for politics you don't agree with. It holds a deeper, more historical, hateful history than mere political snarkiness, okay? You guys might want to rethink that one. The Democrats are saying that this is infamous, okay? So the Democrats are now reporting brace for unrest if Donald Trump wins, the Democrats are warning. I got to tell you guys, you really truly don't want to open that bottle and let the genie out, believe this, you do not want to go there. If you do, you're going to get something like you've never had before. And trust me, you are not going to enjoy the ride. It is not going to work out for you. And potentially, you are going to be fertilizing some soil because you are not going to be above ground for long when you try that stuff with people who are very well trained by the federal government on how to go out and make a real mess of things in a combat zone. And I'm trying to be very charitable here because Facebook, YouTube, Google, call it what you will, has their little buzzwords that they look out for. So potentially you guys could be, well, fertilizing some ground, shall we say, and not at ground level. Okay. It is not going to work out for you. So these guys are, this is coming from Breitbart, by the way. So Americans should prepare for unrest if former President Donald Trump completes the greatest political comeback in modern American politics. Democrats told the Wall Street Journal on Monday. Okay, if they're saying this stuff in public, that's enough right there to say you guys are talking crap. Excuse me one second here. The potential for Democrats to perpetrate political violence undermines the narrative that Republicans, especially the American First Movement, are a threat to democracy. Quote, I think there'll be some violence. I think there'll be some workplace fights. I think there'll be fights at kids' birthday parties. I think there'll be protests that'll turn violent. Mark Halperin recently told Tucker Carlson. Resistance groups, according to the journals, Joshua Chaffee and Valerie Ballerine, believe citizens should be bracing for unrest if Trump wins. Man, if you guys want to pick a fight with the wrong group of people, don't pick it with the rednecks, okay? These are guys that like to basically sit out in the worst possible conditions to get a deer. And if they don't get a deer, they can still consider it a nice day out because they were out in the fresh air. Never mind the fact that the fresh air was probably, well, ridden with like rain, sleet, positively sucky conditions. They were still out and they were enjoying the fresh air. Now, if these guys are able to contend with and deal with that kind of an onslaught of uncomfort, just think what they're going to do when they basically face up against you in public and they go, you know what? I'm going to take this here beer bottle and I'm going to put it in a very, very uncomfortable place. Don't just, that's all I got to say is just don't. It's not going to work out for you the way you think it's going to. Yeah. Oh, man. So across America, more than a dozen progressives in various positions of influence told the Wall Street Journal they are dreading the prospect of Trump's return to power and dismayed to see half the country may see a completely different reality than they see. Okay, we think that you are full of it. That's why we're rejecting you, okay? Some are bracing for unrest. On a recent evening, more than 200 people joined a Zoom meeting titled Mass Training for Women's Safety Teams, hosted by the Women's March veteran who noted its timing amid escalating political violence. I don't think that's coming from the right side. I think it's coming from the left side. But the right side is very charitably not responding in kind. If they do, you're not going to like it. Other than channeling their nervousness into action, they are planning to attend women's marches scheduled in Washington and beyond on Saturday before the election. Who cares? If you guys march around, you basically, wave your signs and beat on the drums and nobody gives a crap. Do it. We don't care. In Boston, they'll be joining pill-packing parties where veterans fill boxes with abortion kits to mail to women in red states with strict limits. We feel that we're doing something, said Erin Gately, a 47-year-old physician assistant who the last time took to the streets to protest after Trump's election, but says this time she would focus on tangible things like protecting reproductive rights. Okay, let me give you a little hint there, sweetie. If you guys are killing each other off and you're not reproducing, we celebrate you. We don't like the fact that you're doing it, but we celebrate the fact you're not reproducing. If you guys choose to wipe each other out, have a blast. What you're doing is you're reducing your numbers and you're removing yourself from the gene pool. All good things. We're not going to stop you. Have a blast. As a matter of fact, why don't you send them a couple of pill packs so they can go, yeah, I can go out and completely whore myself out, crank out tons of nuns and, we will basically be content in ourselves. Yeah, then you'll be a bunch of old cat ladies screaming and carrying on about how bad the Republicans are, how bad Donald Trump is, and you won't have any children to carry on your complete sucky gene pool. Please save the planet. Do exactly what you're intended to do. We will not stop you. Let's see. We're looking in the room here. Oh. I got that picture there, Patriot Fever. Yeah, about the breakfast wrap. Face liberal mess makers in rainbow colors, batteries, conservative mess makers are brass, running black. Well, true. It's a good thing to improvise a parachute from a former diaper roll street. Oh no. Okay, this kid is fired up. Patriot Fever's got a kid who's loaded for bear. Hopefully he runs himself out of juice. Quote, we looked at different countries. Melissa Fierro, a Democrat activist, told the Journal, quote, I think it's going to be really that bad if he wins, end quote. Well, you're also talking about what kind of country? If you're talking about a country like maybe like, I don't know, like Haiti, Haiti tends to wipe out their own president and flip the script about once every 10 years or so. We're not Haiti, okay? Nice try. It just gets worse and worse with these guys, man. It just, I think they're projecting a little bit. This I think is absolutely freaking epic. The Israelis have taken it on the chin more than a few times from, Hezbollah and, the guys over in, Gaza. So basically Hezbollah, up north, and then you got the guys over in, in Gaza playing games. So I think they're pretty much, they're winding down because their numbers are dwindling. Their tunnels are getting blown up. And of course, the Israelis are picking up way more stuff than they could ever shake a stick at. As a matter of fact, I actually heard a news story where the Israelis have captured so much stuff in this one Russian launch envelope. I forget if it was like a mortar or if it was like a missile system or something. But they're like, we have so much of this stuff, it really doesn't make sense to blow it up. Well, we just simply have some guys trained up and we're going to use this stuff. It's perfectly good. It's just what side is shooting it. We're fine with this. So the stuff that they're capturing actually might be utilized by the Israelis to fight against the bad guys messing with the Israelis. All good things. So anyway, looking at the news story here, this one is very, very interesting. Coming in from Breitbart.com, claim Israel hit Iran's secret missile sites, but nobody will admit it. So the news story goes, the Israelis won't admit it, Iran won't admit it, and the USA won't admit it. That secret, quote unquote, undeclared, air quotes, undeclared sites. So secret nuclear sites in Iran got blown. They Chuck up big time. So news story is essentially coming out of Breitbart.com. There's these sites that nobody wants to talk about. So Israel did, in fact, hit Iran's nuclear sites on Saturday's attack, but will not admit it, nor the United States, Iran, or the International Atomic Energy Commission, International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, because those sites were previously said to be, quote unquote, undeclared, or air quotes, secret. So that's the theory of journalist Carolyn Glick, an expert on the Middle East who was also previously a negotiator for the IDF in dealing with the Arab world. In the latest episode of her podcast in the Jewish News Syndicate, Glick sought to explain why Israel only seemed to hit military sites, which they did. Iran's air defenses and military production facilities, when it could have done much more, given the fact that Iran had attacked it first and Israel had a rare opportunity for a strike. Well, that's only half the story. The other half of the story is, well, in Israel, they sent in, I believe it was 4 sorties. So basically 4 specific missions of what they were doing. They knocked out rocket fuel production areas. They knocked out rocket fuel mixing production areas. They knocked out missile production areas. And specifically, they knocked out areas where Hezbollah had launch areas. And more specifically than that, they knocked out areas that were potentially undeclared. So that whole thing that had been going on about, oh yeah, well, the guys over in Iran, they could have missiles, they could be, ready to launch nuclear missiles in a week, and their progress is so blah 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 blah. Potentially, the Israelis said, "Oh no, we're not going to hit the nuclear sites. The Americans told us not to do that." I tend to think that the Israelis said, "You know what? We have a really golden opportunity here. Since we're in the air anyway, we're just simply just going to pop the snot out of them, and they're going to have to simply deal with the fact they got some really, really jacked up areas now." Now, the other thing too is also this is very, very, really interesting. Supposedly, Putin now is pooping his panties because one of the Ukrainian jets that we gave them knocked out one of their hot rod jets, and the Russians are like, "We didn't know that the American plane was that good." So there's now that whole thing too, where they're like, "Oh, well, we got the hypersonic missiles and we this, that, and the other thing," and you Americans should be really, really afraid of the fact that our Russian technology is so vaunted, so amazing, so this, that, and the other thing that you guys really, truly should just fear us and not do anything snarky, as we're being very, really, really snarky in Ukraine. Um, I think with the march of technology and the stuff that we do with our stuff, kind of really tells the Russian bear, you probably should play nice in your cage and not poke around too much of the people walking past. So, yet again, the Russians are getting it on the chin, and we're like, our stuff works. Our stuff works. Your plane, of which you have what, 10? Not nearly as good. Yes, ours are really, really damn expensive, but they really tend to do a good job. And the really, really cool thing about it is, yes, they're really, really expensive, and you don't get to knock them down because, oh yeah, they're just that good. Tiggy juice. So I think in the balance of power stuff going on right now, I tend to think if Trump gets back in, he can basically pick up the phone. And it's like, hey, ring. Hey, Vlad, let's talk here, okay? First and foremost, why don't we do something as just because you're dealing with me now. You're not dealing with the Democrats. You're not dealing with Joe Biden. You're dealing with me now, and we've actually talked before. I thought that we actually had like good rapport. Let's do something. I'm gonna toss you an olive branch, okay? Why don't we have a 24-hour cessation of stuff? I'll call the guys over in Ukraine, and I'll say, hey guys, 24 hours, shut down operations. The Russians won't do anything to you. You don't do anything to the Russians. 24 hours, cooling off period. Let's get a chance to have a conversation here, okay? Before things get entirely too damn stupid. And the other thing too is also, you have that other ridiculously disgusting thing, Ike Eisenhower, who's literally one of my absolute favorite presidents because the guy went in, did amazing stuff. We didn't actually have any fighting going on at the time. Him and Khrushchev were basically shooting the breeze and basically telling all their underlings, yeah, we're not fighting right now. Okay, stop. We're talking. We're actually engaging with each other. Give peace a chance. Okay, we've already had World War II. We've already had Korea. What do you say we just hang back a little bit and let things kind of like, idle down a little bit? I tend to think that Trump would be the guy to reach over to Putin and go, hey, dude, 24 hours, let things, cool off a little bit, and let's open the table of discourse. I think Trump would be that guy. Because mostly right now you hear the Democrats going, oh no, we got to send over the longer range missiles. Those Ukrainians are taking it in the tailpipe. We need to send over more and more stuff, and we need to basically feed the military industrial complex, and we need to basically send way, way more stuff. Well, the way, way more stuff that we've been sending over there has so depleted our reserves that right now we can't fight. We really cannot fight. The stuff that we currently have is either old, insufficient quantity, or it's shipped over to Ukraine. As a matter of fact, the 155 shells that we use in our main battle tanks, we can only make but so many per month. And the so many that we make per month is a scant quantity of what they currently are utilizing over in Ukraine daily. I mean, those guys are sending that stuff off all the bloody time. This one I think is completely hilarious. Coming in from AmericanJournalDaily.com, from the post-millennial, Joe Rogan's clarified the reasons that Vice President Kamala Harris has not appeared on his podcast show like GOP nominee Donald Trump, who was able to last week, saying that the Harris camp would like him to travel elsewhere from the studio and only do a 1 hour time frame, whereas his typical podcast lasts 2 to 3 hours. Quote, Rogan, quote, I strongly feel the best way to do it is in studio in Austin. My sincere wish is to have a nice conversation, get to know her as a human being. I really hope we can just make it happen, Rogan added. They're not doing that. So unless they use a safe Q&A, she will not appear. Also coming in, oops. So there's now 2 newspapers that are blowing Kamala off and not giving her an endorsement. From the post-millennial, USA Today has become the latest news outlet to decline to endorse a presidential candidate. Translation, they don't want to go, wow, Kamala's so great and amazing, this, that, and then she crashes and burns, and they're like, oh, no. Yeah, so namely Kamala Harris, the election season of which we're talking about. The paper, the nation's 4th largest, spoke to the Daily Beast on Monday and said in lieu of the endorsement, they will provide, quote, readers with the facts that matter and will give trusted information and to make an informed decision. Translation, they'll be trying to spit out all the crap they possibly can to make people go, oh, she's so amazing. No, she's not so amazing. North Carolina supposedly is not for her, and she's pulled $2 million of ad revenue from there. Yeah. So Trump is now surging on it's AmericanDaily.com, AmericanJournalDaily.com. Trump surges GOP looks to end a 24-year losing streak in New Hampshire. Huge. But I usually define that state as hippies with guns. And so from the post-millennial, GOP nominee Donald Trump is leading Vice President Kamala Harris in a new poll from the state not normally thought of as openly available to Republicans in a presidential race, New Hampshire. The granted state appears to be up for grabs as Trump up for grabs for Trump as the election draws near. According to a new poll from the New Hampshire Journal, Trump is up over Harris 50.2 to 49.8, although the margin of error makes the lead 0.4% a statistical tie. However, Republicans have not won the state since 2000, which means the poll could be a very significant thing for the GOP's chances. Election day is just over a week away. Oh, man, that is very, very interesting, mind you. Very, very interesting. So where we are with that one right now is it's looking like things are either tightening up or it's getting very, very, well, how would you say it? Except for maybe it's just, no, it's not quack. Sound guy.
You sick little monkey.
Stop. Okay, it's not meep meep or quack. Stop. it's dude.
Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
Okay, great, thanks, whatever. Anyway, so looking at things as it is, we are now finding ourselves in the 1 hour time period, and I guess that means, oh, okay, music's playing. I guess that means it is time. I truly appreciate your kind attention. You guys have made it through to Tuesday. I thank you guys so much for all the kind words you said on Facebook concerning Mr. Orange, my personal Captain Cluck Cluck. Truly is missed. I still got the paw prints here. Anyway, so we're soldiering on, and it is what it is, man. You lose your friends. So I'm going to break up on this one, folks. I appreciate your kind attention. I'm going to see you guys next week, and let's put us up sooner. I thank you guys so much for all the time you spend here and good stuff like that there. I will see you guys next week, so I will see you then. Eco Captain Ring is always, you know what, you love it. I will catch you guys later, and Orange, love you, brother. See you guys next week. See ya. British.